Hello everyone, Fanta here. You are watching FANTAVISION, and today is another episode of Tales from Retail GameStop Edition. GameStop Edition? GameStop Edition. Haven't even started drinking yet. Alright, so today is once again about GameStop. I know it's been Walmart, GameStop, Walmart, GameStop, Walmart, GameStop. Some people are fine with that, or most people are fine with that. Some people, though, have been saying we want more variety. I don't blame you. Honestly, I want more variety as well. So, I'm going to try to get Adam or Steven in the next episode of Tales from Retail. Or I'll try to get Eric to come up with another retail place he's worked at, dredge up some more Target memories. I don't know. But I've only worked in 3 different places that were complete miserable experiences. I guess I could talk about babysitting, but I don't know if you guys want to hear about that. Maybe you don't, maybe you do. I don't know. Comment down below if that would be an acceptable Tales from Retail type story. It would count for that week's Tales from Retail. So if you want that, let me know. It could be like babysitter battles, or I don't know. I like alliteration. It probably won't become alliteration. It'll be something else, but I don't know. These are just things I'm thinking of on the spot right now, just like most of these episodes. So today's topic we're starting with is, oh wait, real quick. Sorry, the freaking timestamp police will save you. Leinenkugel, Summer Shandy, camera, for the love of God, please focus. It hates me. Okay, camera hates me. Everything's breaking. It's Summer Shandy. It's the lemonade one. It's really refreshing. It's so delicious. I love this company, and I don't think there's a single Leinenkugel I've had that's really bad. And they're really not that expensive, and I know it sounds like I'm shilling for them, but I'm not sponsored by them. If they want to sponsor me, that'd be great, but just a really good beer, not too high of alcohol content, which is good, 4.2%. All right, let's get into the episode. So, today, discussing lunch breaks at GameStop. Just saying that out loud. Like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Well, some people have actually been wondering what lunch breaks were like at GameStop. What breaks were like at GameStop. And the thing is with GameStop, unlike Walmart, is you do not have those forced 15-minute breaks. Instead, you have the almost not even take a lunch, but you have to. What do I mean by that? Because GameStop's this weird thing where it's either really busy or it's just dead. At least my GameStop, a lot of GameStops I worked at were like that. Really annoying because, I'm fine with a day where it's just kind of a medium amount of people filtering in and out, take care of them, stuff like that. But it felt like it was either just a couple of sprinkled customers around the day, or you're just constantly flooded and you don't know why. And on the days where it was constantly flooded, you had to take a lunch break. You were forced to take a lunch break. I mean, you're hungry, you want to, but you feel really bad because, you guys know GameStop. They have like 2 people working at the counter for some reason, which I get, but I don't get when it comes to lunch. Like, it'd be nice if there were at least 3 people, just so when somebody's at lunch, somebody's covering. Because that's 2 hours of lunch. Was it an hour or a half hour? That's another thing that was weird, was that it changed. My lunches changed a couple years in. It was a half an hour for quite a long time, and then it became an hour. I don't remember why. I don't remember why that changed. I think it was just a manager that wanted to change it, or was it district manager? I don't know. What the hell? That's a huge change. That doubles the time of your lunch. I don't know if you could take it shorter. No, because the thing about GameStop is the hours are so stingy. It's like a currency there. It's crazy. You cannot go over your hours even by a minute. And I feel like that was the same way at Walmart. Not as bad as GameStop, but pretty damn close. Walmart, you had to immediately clock out at your time and clock in when you're supposed to. And I get they're trying to prevent like time theft or whatever the hell they want to call it, but God, it was so frustrating. because there's so many times where it's super, super busy and you're leaving your poor employee by himself or your poor coworker by himself to deal with the mob. And it's just, you feel so bad. You want to stay and help. And my current job, I can kind of do whatever. Like, if I go over an hour or two, whatever, doesn't matter. But at GameStop, oh my God, it's like you summoned the Antichrist if you went over your time. And you had to like beg for more hours, and you had to constantly check the schedule. I guess this is becoming an episode about hours, but I'm thinking about it, and it's just so weird. I don't know how I survived off of that pay at all. And when I was working at GameStop, I was going to the University of Arizona, living at the dorm for the first year. So I would drive all the way down from the U of A to GameStop to work, and then all the way back. Now that's almost the same drive that I do now for work, but I have the interstate the whole way. So it's like, it sucks, but it's just a straight shot. Whereas university, you gotta go, you turn, you go, you turn, you go, and it's just a mess. And there's certain sections of it that just get worse and worse and worse. And I know I'm talking about traffic now instead of GameStop, but it's part of my GameStop experience. I live very far away. So, and the gas prices at the time were insane. I don't know if you guys remember, but I don't know what it was like in your neck of the woods. I know it changes across the country, and if you're not from America, you don't have any basis of what I'm talking about. But at one point, it was nearly like $5 a gallon for gas. It was so close to $5 a gallon. I think it was like $60 to fill up my tank every single time. So I basically spent most of my paycheck on gas and just food and just surviving. It was my job to survive. That's about it. And then when I moved into an apartment, it got even worse because I had more expenses. I had other stuff to deal with because the dorm was being paid for by like some scholarship or something. But God, everything else was just a nightmare. But the dorm was also a nightmare. I feel like I could do a whole college story thing. I feel like this channel is just kind of my thoughts on things. Thoughts on things. Maybe that'll be the new name of the channel. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to rename the channel Thoughts on Things. It's stupid. So I'm just spending all of my minuscule amount of money on gas and food because I was getting barely any hours, even as an assistant manager, which they don't call an assistant manager, even though you do exactly the same things as the assistant manager besides delving out the hours. That was the only difference between me and my assistant manager, was that I did not create the schedule. That's it. Otherwise, I hit the mic. Otherwise, I ran the store by myself completely sometimes. A lot of times, actually. Sundays, sometimes I'd open and close by myself if somebody was sick. And people would constantly come in and open it, and then they leave. And then I have like 4 or 5 hours where it's just me, and I'd close up the whole shop. Close up the shop a lot. Or I'd manage other people. I was literally just an assistant manager they didn't want to give full time. They didn't want to give decent pay to. And they basically just fuck you over any way they can. I remember being called in at the most random times. Just the most random times. Like I'll be hanging out at a friend's house near the U of A. And they'll be like, you gotta come in. I'm like, I was just about to start drinking. Thank God I didn't start drinking. But I was just about to. And I'm like, now is not a good time. I can't come in. I'm all the way at the U of A. I'm not ready to work. And he's like, you gotta work. You don't have a choice. And the thing is, I know people are saying in the comments already, or they're thinking to themselves, Fanta, you can always say no. But the thing is, there's such a skeleton crew with GameStop. There's so few people that work there that if a couple people can't make it, you're fucked. You don't have a choice. And I felt bad because my manager is usually really cool. So I wanted to help him out. So I did come into work that day, even though I was not scheduled, and I basically had to blow off all my plans, which really sucked. But when you only have a manager, assistant manager, and I think another key, and that's it, if those other 2 people cannot come in, because I believe one person was very sick, which was the reason I had to come in, and the other person was out of town. So it was just, I was completely fucked. You can't do anything. If 2 people are out, you're done. You're donezo. You're stuck there the whole day. Like I said, that happened quite frequently because shit happens, you know? And you think about it and you kind of understand why, because GameStop makes such little money, and the things that we sold that were worth money was used games, and like you have to sell so many used games to make up for it. It's just, oh my god, the whole business model is just a pain in the ass, and the way they run their stores, a pain. Just everything about GameStop is just such a mess. My hours were just garbage. My pay was sad. I mean, I was getting paid less than somebody who starts at In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger at the time was paying $10. I know it's a lot more now here, at least. $10 starting. I wasn't even getting that as a manager. And I'm the person that is, like I said, running the whole store, a lot of the times managing people, and closing up shop, counting out the money, bringing it to the bank. I mean, I'm doing all these things. You don't even get paid. Like, you clock out when you drive that money to the bank. That's your time. It's just so stupid. Everything that they did was just so illogical. It doesn't make sense. It just blows your mind just thinking about it right now. Just insane. So lunches. What did we do for lunches? Back to this. So I usually got like a Subway or something, or I'd go to the Walmart next door to try to get something cheap, because you can't afford eating Subway every single day working at GameStop. Sometimes I would get like a foot long, and I'd eat half of it for lunch and the other half for dinner. Or like I said, I'd get like one of those $1 Michelina noodle meals from Walmart, just a microwave in the back, or the Smart Balance, or whatever microwavable thing I could find. I mean, I probably tried 90% of them by the end of my time at GameStop. It was just and then you're sitting back. Actually, you know what? I'm sighing, but at the same time, it was a hell of a lot better than Walmart. Walmart lunch sucked because you got this big ass, awful lunchroom with the same fucking fluorescence lights that nobody likes. Nobody likes the fluorescence lights. They're awful. And it's just this big room. People are just making a bunch of noise. They've got a TV on, watching something you don't care about, and you still feel like you're at work. You know what I mean? Like you don't have that time to kind of unwind and relax. And that's what you got at GameStop. GameStop lunch, I know I complained a little bit, but GameStop lunch was probably the best lunch experience I had working out of the 3 places. And I know I didn't have a lunch at the Chinese food place. I had a free dinner, which was dope, but was not worth considering how bad the job was. And you had to eat with everybody there, and I don't know if you could take home leftovers or not. I think you could. Yeah, I did. I usually ate half of whatever they gave me and ate the other half later on. I do that a lot, even now. Saves a lot of money, makes it very convenient for later. Win-win. So it was really nice, especially this GameStop, because this is very localized to my GameStop, because it was a very tiny back room. So you had this little desk, little metal chair. Yeah, it was a little metal chair, like a little fold-out chair, and I would just prop up my phone. I think back then it also had one of those little kickstands, pops out like that. Set it up, and then I would just watch YouTube for half hour to an hour, or however long my lunch was. And it was so relaxing. Like you're in your own little bubble. I mean, it was so soundproofed by all the shit in the back room, and by how small it was, and how far away the cash register was from the back room. It was so comfy in there. Like just thinking about it right now. Especially when there was a shitload of games that just came in, or the new consoles, or big items, because you're surrounded by just stuff, just giant boxes. So it felt kind of cozy, you know? You felt so separated from the customers out there, and you really had a chance to relax, unwind, and it was nice, actually. It was really nice. But that's not the same at every GameStop. There were many other GameStops. I think our GameStop was just the best overall, including the back room. It had the best sitting situation and the best everything, and It was great. I loved it. Another one that I worked at was at a mall. Even smaller back room. I didn't even know it was possible. Smaller back room, and the place where you ate was it wasn't cozy, it was cramped. And the difference is vertical in my opinion, because I was cozy at our GameStop because it had a very nice vertical, if you know what I mean. Like the ceiling was pretty high up and there wasn't a bunch of shit up there. It was just kind of empty shelves usually. And at this one, you have a wall here, and then you go back and there's the door. So it's kind of like if this wall, there's another wall right here. So you're kind of walled in. Whereas ours had the wall and then nothing to the door unless there's a bunch of boxes. And even then, you can still see the door. It's not as claustrophobic and cramped. And the desk was always full of shit everywhere. It was never clean. You had to move other people's stuff out of the way. And it was just an annoying situation. I know this is nitpicky, but this is what this episode is. Deal with it. So that's what that back room was like. And eating lunch there kind of sucked. It was like Goldilocks is the weirdest thing that I think about it. It was like the Goldilocks. Ours was the best one. Ours was the just right. Whereas that one was too small. And then the other GameStop I worked at, the really ghetto one, that got robbed all the time and had a bunch of cameras and audio equipment to stop it from getting robbed again. This was the GameStop where the guy picked up the iPod case, walked out, said, "Have a good day." They had a massive back room. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it was probably, that back room was like a quarter, if not a third, of the store that I worked at. I mean, it was huge. It had like 2 of those plastic picnic table looking things set up in the back, and just shit everywhere. And it's just this wide open space, and you eat at that picnic table in the middle of the room, and there's cameras, and you can see on the monitor you eating. So you see the sad little fuck in the little monitor, and you're like, oh god, I gotta watch myself eat. And that GameStop was a lot busier, so people are constantly flying back into the back room, and you don't really get any time to relax, catch your breath, and pretend you're not at GameStop anymore. Pretend you're not at work. Just kind of zone out into a YouTube video, enjoy your meal. And it was too big, too much hustle and bustle. Same with the small one. A lot of people going to the back room just because it was a busier location. Whereas ours, even if people came in the back room, usually you're just so out of their way. And our employees would be, they usually really respected you while you were at lunch. They tried to pretend you were dead, which was nice. So they wouldn't really try to bother you or ask you questions while you're in lunch. Of course, if you're managing someone, you're kind of SOL. I mean, you have to leave the door. That was the worst thing. Having a lunch while you're managing a lower employee. I don't want to say lower employee. You're just managing someone. While you're managing somebody, and they're not as like much of a veteran as you are. They don't know as much. It's really stressful. It's like stressful to take lunch. You don't want to do it because you know the entire time you're going to be answering questions. You have to leave the door open in case they're having any issues. Now later on, once you see that they're doing a lot better and they're learning, you can at least shut the door, but you know they're going to come for questions. There's always at least 3 or 4 questions during lunch. And the thing is that's really fucked up is that every single time I went to take lunch and I was managing someone, I swear to God, my luck is just garbage. I would go in the back after getting my food, get all situated, get all set up, get my video selected. As soon as I'm about to take a bite, the whole store gets flooded. And sometimes I would work most of my lunch because I had to. I mean, I had to take care of the store. And the thing is once again, you can't work off the clock because you get destroyed if they catch you doing that because they don't want a lawsuit. They don't want somebody doing anything like that. That makes sense. So you just have to keep delaying your lunch and you're just getting hungrier and getting more bitter because your sandwich is getting cold. And it's just the thing about life is, yeah, like the big stuff sucks when it happens, like the big inconveniences, but the little inconveniences, when those things start stacking up, they feel even worse than the big inconveniences, if you know what I mean. Today's been one of those days where it's kind of like that, where just you've got like a bunch of little shit happening, and it turns into like one avalanche of just stuff you have to deal with. And that's what GameStop was like a lot. Even when I wasn't managing somebody, even if I was working with another manager, it was always seeming to just get insanely busy as soon as I went to lunch. I felt bad, you know? I didn't like being stranded out there, so I didn't want to strand somebody else out there, you know? That was the thing about GameStop I liked a lot more than anywhere else that I worked besides, you know, my real job now. Not to say that retail's not a real job, it's just not a career. At least it shouldn't be, honestly. It's a miserable experience. If you enjoy it, that's cool, but you're kind of at the wrong channel, aren't you? At GameStop, you really felt like a team. And I know that sounds stupid, and I know that's what they really want, but I mean, you become friends with everybody you work with because it's such a small, close environment. You work with so few people. You get to know everybody really well. You become best friends with everybody, usually, unless they're dickheads. And it was just a nice work experience when it came to coworkers. Just because you get to know everybody. It's great. I mean, you're usually working with friends, unless you're unlucky. There were a couple people that I would not consider friends that I worked with at GameStop, but 90% of the people I worked with were really fun to work with, and you kind of have to. I mean, you're stuck in this small store, and when it's dead, you don't want it to just be silent. You got to talk about stuff, you know? You got to fill the time with conversation, and it made work so much better. Whereas Walmart, unless I worked with Eric or Steven, I felt like I wanted to die. It was awful. Everybody I worked with was a miserable mess, and they don't want you talking. So you never get that sense of you're on a team, you're working together to get something done. Just such a pain in the ass. Hate Walmart. Awful. As much as I don't like GameStop, I hate Walmart. Cannot stress that enough. Hated that place. I worked there for less than a year, 8 months, and it felt longer than my 4 years at GameStop. I swear to God. It was such a miserable experience. I paid a hell of a lot more, but it was a miserable experience nonetheless. So that was kind of lunches, kind of hours, kind of did a lot of different things. I kind of figured that would happen because I was tackling such a weird subject of just lunches. I mean, you think about lunches at GameStop, how do you cover that? How do you cover that question from people? And that's how, you know? I mean, it was mostly YouTube, eating food, and having to deal with the rush that inevitably came as soon as you tried to eat. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like down below if you did. Comment down below if you have any interesting lunch experiences or hours or... I don't know, I covered a weird gambit of stuff, so I don't really know what to ask. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And as, of course, very important, as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys. So good. So good. Yeah, that's a 4-minute timestamp right there. Did not mean to keep going on and on about random stuff. But, interesting subject. Really interesting subject. Lunches. I don't know if Eric will have enough to say about Walmart lunches. I do have some things to talk about, especially with breaks. I think if we talk about breaks and lunches, we'll have enough to talk about. So we'll either do the variety. I'll either do the variety episode next week, or we'll do the Walmart episode about lunches and breaks next week. And since you are a devoted viewer that has made it past the fade out sequence and are still watching me ramble on, let me know in the comments. Shoot me a tweet on Twitter. Talk to me in Discord. Let me know what you want, because I'm all ears. Looking for more video suggestions. If you have a video idea, please send it over to me on the Discord. There's a channel dedicated to video suggestions so that we never run out of ideas. because I can only come up with so much without your help. You know? I mean, how many episodes have we done so far? A lot. At some point, you think we're going to run out. I mean, I have a list. It's running thin. So any ideas you have, anything you want to hear about my experience at GameStop or Walmart or the Chinese restaurant, let me know. Or if you want to hear about me being a babysitter or something random, anything at all. Don't really care. Throw it in that area, and your idea could become a video.